You're not late. You're simply measuring your life by somebody else's clock. Your path is your path. Somebody else's path is their path. Every single thing that you go through in life, everything led you to where you are right now. Your past experiences, the drama, the traumas, the birthdays, the happiness, the joy, the sorrow, all of those experiences in your life made you who you are today. And exactly where you are right now is where you are supposed to be. You don't know what the next person had to go through to get to where they are right now. So you can't compare your experience to their experience. And you're also only seeing it from a lens of outside looking in. You don't know all of the skeletons, all of the traumas, the different things that they might be dealing with currently that you have no clue about. So that's why it's wise to not compare your experience and your life path to somebody else's. Social media didn't just change how we connect, social media also changed how we measure our worth. You're not seeing the whole entire picture of exactly what it is that they needed to do to get there. Did they have different struggles? Did they have to overcome certain heartaches and heartbreak to get there? Were they struggling financially? Were they struggling mentally? Were they struggling physically? There's so many different aspects of people's lives that you don't see. You only see that little bits and pieces of what is put out on social media that is not only put out for the world to see, but it's also edited, strategically posted. It's also a way to curate exactly what it is that they want the world to see. So you are comparing your life to a small piece of curated, very intentionally posted content. So the timeline that you think you are behind on is filtered, edited, and strategically posted for the world to see. So don't think that you're behind based off of a curated version of somebody's highlight reel and what they have going on. You might feel behind because you're following external deadlines instead of internal alignment. What I mean by that is external deadlines. You're worried about everything that you see outside of you, what's being posted on social media, what you're seeing on the news, what you're seeing on TV, et cetera, et cetera. Everything outside of yourself is like allowing the world to rush your timeline, to rush your path, to make you feel like, okay, I'm not doing that much because there's so many things that are pumped out to us every single day, 24 hours a day, if you allow it, that's letting you know you're behind, you need to be doing this, you're too late, this is what you should be doing. All of that at the end of the day is just fluff and things that isn't conducive to what is meant for your soul. When you operate in a place of alignment, that's where that internal timeline comes into play. That's that soul work that comes into play. Your path that's in alignment with who you're supposed to be, with what you're supposed to be doing in life, that's the path that you should be focusing on. What makes you feel good? What makes you happy? If you had all the money in the world, right? Or if money just wasn't an option, what are those different things that makes your soul smile, that just makes you want to get up and enjoy doing those things every single day without any judgment, without any timelines or deadlines that you have to get these things done by? Eliminate all those things and find out what does your soul crave. That's when you can get right on your correct timeline of, you know what, these things I feel like are external validations of what I expected and what I assumed should be my path because I wasn't focused on what I wanted internally. Maybe as you were a kid, you were like, well, I wanted to be an artist. You were sketching, you were drawing all the time. Or maybe you were drawn to all types of sports. You know, you love to be outside and in the sun, playing different things, challenging your body. Maybe you're a reader and writing and literature just is something that attracts you. Find those different things that brought you happiness at one point, but then life may have shifted your path because you had bills to pay. You had a family to take care of. You had all of these different obligations and responsibilities that you had no choice but to maybe shift those different dreams and goals and soul soul fueling happiness activities around. So you strayed away from that path and you allowed the world to dictate what timeline that you should be on, you know? So I encourage you to get back to you. Find that path back to what makes you happy. Go back to those childlike times where you were super whimsical and the world was just a beautiful playground that you can explore. Find those different things because that is where you will come to find your true alignment and what is meant to be purpose work for yourself, for your soul, for the internal version of you that is waiting for you. You don't feel behind. You feel lost because you haven't defined what winning looks like for you. Everybody's version of success is completely different. What one person might deem as success, you might not feel aligns with what you might think success is. So take the time to define what that success looks like. You might say, oh, well, my version of success is, having a house with a white picket fence, a family, a car, and, you know, all those little picturesque things or whatever that might make you happy. Another version of somebody's success is, hey, I just want to live in my art studio and have my paintings everywhere to be able to host galleries and stuff all the time. Another person's version of success, hey, I want to live off the grid. I want a house in the middle of the nowhere that I can live off of my own land where I grow my food and I don't have to be bothered by the world. Whatever it is, make sure that it is what aligns with you. Your success might look completely different from the next person's success. That's why it's important to not compare your path and your timeline to somebody else's because their version of success and what makes them happy might not be what makes you happy. You could try to follow somebody's exact timeline of what they did to get to where they are, but then along the way you realize like this actually doesn't feel that good. It doesn't feel like I thought it would. It doesn't bring me joy like I thought it would. But it's because that version of success doesn't align with your version of success. So take that time to really figure out what winning is. How am I going to win today? What if in a perfect world, how would my life look and how would I live the rest of my life? That is what you should be focusing on. That's what your soul desires. That's what that internal win will look like when you start to focus on what is going to make you happy internally versus the external version of success that you see everywhere that might not align with you. Your life isn't supposed to look like theirs. It's supposed to feel like yours. Your path doesn't need to match anyone else's story. What you see somebody else doing, it doesn't have to look exactly the same. It's supposed to be different. Your path is meant to be authentic to who you are, right? So stop rushing your story to match someone else's timeline. Okay. It's your story. It's your path. It's meant to be beautifully unique. It's meant to feel authentic to who you are. It's meant to be in alignment with your soul, with your work, with your purpose, with how you're supposed to do life. Okay. Just because you might see somebody else's life and what they're doing, you can admire it, you can respect what they're doing, but it doesn't mean that you have to follow the exact same path that they're on. Just make sure that however you choose to do life, it is authentic to you and it feels good for you. Because the moment that you start trying to live your life for everybody else's, that's when you start to lose yourself. That's where comparison comes in. That's where that thief of your joy comes in. So do not fall into that trap, honey, okay? Live your life for you. You are exactly on time. You are right where you're supposed to be in life. And that is all that matters at the end of the day. Is make sure that you are happy with who you are. Make sure that you can go home and look yourself in the mirror and like what you see. If this message resonated with you and it was right on time, go ahead, do us a favor, like, subscribe, tune in Tuesdays at 10 a.m. And we are going to be working on our own timeline. We're going to be healing together and discussing food for thought and different perspectives. Stay tuned.